You fellows ready? You good? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we will go ahead and get started. We'd like to welcome two gentlemen that really need no introduction. Zach Johnson, Stewart Cink, captain, vice captain of the upcoming Ryder Cup team to the Fortinet championship here. Thanks, guys, for joining us for a few minutes. First question, we heard a lot about catching up on sleep, getting right, this and that. No, it's been a very hectic time and is going to be a very busy time for you guys. So just some thoughts on being here this week. Stewart is the past champion 2020. Zach, if I saw correctly, you're making your second start here with the top 15 in, I think, 2018. So just some thoughts on being back here at Silverado this week in the midst of everything else going on. Well, Stewart,
it's a feel-good event in a lot of ways. Coming to Napa is such a great place, and then the golf course is a fun course to play. It's just old school, and we see a lot of different kinds of tracks, but this is just a fun one to play. If you play well here, you can definitely be rewarded, and you can take this course apart. But it's got some defenses out there, and it's been a little while, and since I played a competitive tournament, 2 or 3 weeks, and I think Zach's about the same, so seeing what we saw last week with the Ryder Cup guys and seeing Marco Simone, I just don't see how that can't get you fired up to compete. I mean, getting to mix it up with those guys and see what they do and learn a little bit from them. I appreciate the opportunity to be a vice captain just so I can watch and learn from those guys and just be a little better competitor myself.
Yeah, that's well said. I think this week for me and talking to some of my team, meaning my coaches and things of that nature, there were some hesitancies on whether or not I should do this or not. At the same time, given the people I have around me, specifically someone like Stewart and our other peers, our leadership captains, if you will, we've done a lot of good work to date, and so this is just like a nice semblance of what reality for me. I mean, getting into an atmosphere and an environment that kind of feels normal is great, because what we have in store for us is it's special, it's the best, but it's not normal. So I can kind of decompress here and compete. I love the golf course. This is a place I've always wanted to come back to since 2017 or 18. Is that what it was? 18. Yeah. Just because I loved it. I loved the golf course and what it demanded. And obviously the community and everything that goes along with it, the food. It's pretty special too. So love being back. Love how Fortinet's really taken ownership of it. Pretty special there. The guys want to be here, and it's a nice way to kick off the fall.
Okay. Well, with that, we'll just jump in and take a few questions. If you have questions, we've got a microphone, Marty. I'll bring it right to you.
Zach, Stewart, welcome to Napa. Thank you. Great to see you here. What is it like being here and being connected to Max Homa and Justin Thomas, who are also playing this week? What are your thoughts on just having 4 Ryder Cuppers here at this event this week?
Sure.
What does that feel like?
Well, I think the beauty of having a month off from the Tour Championship to the actual Cup does give us the luxury and freedom to come here and compete. Max and JT, I don't really want to speak on behalf of them, but if they don't play well, they may not play. That's the bottom line. I'm kidding.
There was a little hesitation there. Did you see that? They took it seriously.
Like, no. But, Max is obviously defending. Max 2 times over? Am I fair? Is that right? So that's pretty impressive, and it doesn't surprise me that he wants to try to defend his championship. That's awesome. JT's obviously had a little bit more time off, so it's great that he wants to get back in that environment of competing and that sort of thing. I mean, hopefully they both play great at the same time. Stewart and I were just talking about it before we sat down. We're on a 9-hour time change right now, and so it's everything's kind of a little trying. And now that being said, we've got some time between now and Thursday, and I'm sure we'll adapt and be okay. But it's pretty awesome that I wish we could have more, but it's not. Obviously, it's not my decision. It's not easy to. Part of the beauty of Napa is it's not easy to get to, but when you're here, you don't want to leave. Does that make sense? So, kind of reminds me of where I'm from on the other coast. So, sure.
Hi, Ron Krejcik from the San Francisco Chronicle. Sort of following up on that, how much value do you see in an event like this to prepare for the Ryder Cup? Obviously, it's 2 weeks out, not next week.
Right.
last year Max won here and then went 4-0, I believe, at the President's Cup. But I mean, where do you stand? You've been in this situation. Do you think there's much value in preparing like this?
You're asking me, right? Well, I don't think it's ever bad to go compete. I mean, that's what we're designed to do. That's where we're wired. I'm not going to put a ton of merit into, I guess I'm just thinking about myself and how I play. Granted, I'm not playing in 2 weeks. But, for me, it's just a kind of a fun week to go see where I'm at and get ready for October, November, I guess, personally speaking. But as far as the other two guys, you'd have to ask them. I mean, I'm sure they want to win, number one. Number two, personally, if they play great or play poorly, what I do know is that the opposite can happen. So, it's not – ideally they get some momentum. I mean, momentum in this game is pretty lethal and can be a really good thing. You stated what Max did last year, and no one was surprised by that. We saw him navigate Charlotte in the President's Cup quite well. So, yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about having control of the golf ball for a period of time that, shows results. But you never know when that's going to happen, and you never know when that's going to leave either. So I'm not giving it a whole lot of merit in that regard. Plus, 4 days of stroke play is vastly different than 5 sessions of match play in 3 days. So,
Zach, question about the Ryder Cup. Have you started, I'm sure you have, thinking about the pairings, and are you just kind of going back and forth each night, jotting down mock pairings and things like that?
Stewart?
I think he's got a secret camera inside your room.
Or your room.
Or my room.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said we haven't started talking about that, discussing that, kind of piecing things together. But it's not like we have it set in stone yet. It's one of those areas that's really, really difficult, but it's also really, really exciting and fun to kind of start to see how this team can take shape. At this point in this captainship, the worst part of my job is sitting guys. I mean, I'd like to take 25 guys over there to play. Can't do that. And I'd like for all the guys to play every session. Can't do that either. So, but that's the way it is, and everybody knows that. So, yeah, I mean, we're starting to get into some possible pairings to see what's best for that golf course and what's best for our team.
I think the golf course is going to solve some of that problem because it's so hilly, and the temperature could be pretty hot too, that I think guys are going to be happy to probably rest. There's not going to be a lot of disappointment for not playing
That's
5.
well
I
said.
wouldn't think so.
No, I mean, it's brutal walk, and then, like you said, compounding that with heat.
Yeah, it's probably the most
Caddies, too.
The caddies too, the most demanding physically of any cup course I've ever seen that I've been a part of.
No question. In my time, for sure.
Zach, Stewart, what's your schedule looking like this week in preparation of going to Rome? Are you guys flying out Sunday night after the tourney? And what are you hoping to achieve in this week with Max and JT here and just overall feelings and preparation for a biggest event in possibly your career, both
Sure.
of your career?
Well, what am I looking to out of those two individuals? Yeah, I mean, I kind of alluded to it. I mean, hopefully they show some signs of great form. I'm not overly worried about that. I mean, concerned about that. I mean, the bottom line is, for the most part, the majority of the team played so much golf in July and August that they need a break. Your body needs a break. So when you have it's unique that we've had a month off from the Tour Championship to the actual Cup. I can't recall that ever happening in my time. Can you? Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe a week here, maybe a week there, but so that rest I think is actually probably better than actually competing off the Tour Championship a lot. Sounds like the European team might be playing a little bit more because of their schedule and the way it lays out, which is fine. But our guys will be rested. I mean, that was part of the joy and the purpose of our practice round trip is to let those guys see the course, so that way when we get there that week, they don't have to force it and push themselves to get their feet on the grounds that much because they've already know kind of what to expect, so they can kind of prepare accordingly. Friday can't come any quicker. I mean, it seems like you get there and Friday just takes forever to get there, but when it's there, it's a lot of golf in a short amount of time. So I personally think rest is great. It's great that JT and Max are playing. It makes sense that JT's playing because he hasn't played much. So, again, I'm not going to give their scorecard a whole lot of merit when it comes to what we're trying to do 2 weeks from now.
And are you guys all flying out together?
Oh, no. I'm flying out. My wife and I have kiboshed red eyes, so I'm flying out Monday morning. I am a worthless you-know-what if I fly out Sunday night 4 days. And I'm still a dad, so I got to get home and be at least somewhat in control.
Totally.
I don't know what you're doing.
I'm playing in the Pure Insurance Open next week.
That's right.
So I'm out here for 2 weeks. And then right now, all of the assistants are all playing there. So we're all flying. We're not taking the team charter. We're all meeting them in Rome, flying from out west.
I tried to get an exemption, but they don't take 47-year-olds yet.
Totally on board on the red.
Going back to, I want to address one thing on your question, though, too. I think it's inevitable that whatever Max and JT do this week will be overstated, to the good or to the bad.
That's well said.
It will be. And I hope they both win. I don't think that's possible, but I hope they both win. It'd be great for their confidence.
Amazing.
For their confidence alone. It won't have anything to do with Zach's decisions. And we tie for third, yeah. It won't have anything to do with our decision
speaking obvious here. You guys knew that. Yeah.
But I just think it's, for us internally, it'll probably be, we hope that they have confidence coming out of this week, and that'd be a great thing. Other than that, we just don't look at results from 1 week. You just can't do that. It's not a good enough sample size to, we're not going to take somebody out of the pairings or put somebody in a pairing or something like that based on one tournament. How many miles away? 7,000 miles away from Rome.
100%.
Yeah.
And we've seen it in Cups before, just to further that, even be more specific. Just because Stewart and I play Friday morning in a Ryder Cup match and we don't win doesn't mean we can't go back out the next day and do it again. So you gotta take it with a grain of salt. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they win and you guys tie for third, will there be a playoff between you two for third?
No, we'll split. We already agreed on that.
Happy to split. We'll go split a meal, too.
Kind of figured. Hey, Zach, I was curious. I don't know how much you pay attention to the Basketball World Cup, but I was watching that and it was obviously disappointing that the U.S. didn't win and ended up finishing fourth, not even getting a medal.
It was in Asia, correct?
It was in Manila, Philippines.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. And Steve Kerr was a coach, who coaches the Warriors, so I sort of followed that particularly close. But I was just watching, and I know Steve well, and I was watching, the criticism he endured and sort of the reaction, and it had me thinking, given that this was coming, I was thinking about the pressure you are under as captain. How much have you felt that? How much are you feeling it more as it gets closer? And are there sort of parallels? Obviously, it's a different situation. He's facing a bunch of different
100%.
teams, but it seems like there are some parallels.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really fair question. I mean, number one, USA Basketball has more than one tournament. I know they're playing multiple games in a longer period of time, and we're 3 days. But, I have thought about it. I mean, I think I kind of know what I'm signing up for. That being said, I didn't know all of what was going to be shot at me. I mean, there's no way to really know that. I mean, all the arrows. Some of them you just deflect, and some of them you kind of got to veer and, whatever. I mean, just try to navigate what you can. What I think, at least this is kind of the way I'm looking at it, and I don't mind it. It's what I signed up for. I love responsibility. I love difficulty. I love being pushed and somewhat being uncomfortable, if that makes sense. I do know that if we win this, it will be those 12 guys. I mean, that sounds really obvious, but it will be. It'll be them playing golf and winning the Ryder Cup for Team USA. If we lose this, I think there's probably some merit some of that can go on me, and I fully accept that. That's what I signed up for, and I hope that's not the case, obviously, but I am at peace with whatever comes my way. I mean, I really am. Competition is competition. Our opponent's going to be very, 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 very good, and Marco Simone will be a really difficult test for all 24 participants. So I mean, it's like any tournament, and specifically any match play event that we've ever played in. I mean, anybody can beat anybody. So we're going to hash it all out. We're going to use all the experience I have with my vice captains. We're going to utilize our statisticians, the same company that USA Basketball employs, and we're going to try to navigate it properly. The guys have taken ownership in their team, and it's so far to date, it's been extremely special.
The thing that was striking watching the reaction to the USA Basketball loss, and I realize it's social media, so you should take it with a grain of salt, but is that so many people expect the U.S. to win.
Oh, yeah.
Everything,
I understand. Yeah, especially in that sport.
Well, especially in that sport, but to some extent in golf, too.
Yeah.
American fans.
I think the flip side of that is, if you're talking about expectations, let's just look at what's happened over the last 30 years. Who's supposed to win, right? So I like that. I mean, this is an entirely different team than 1993 or 95, 97, whomever, whatever, how far back you want to go, 2018, 2004. This is an entirely different team with a new opportunity. That's how we look at it. I mean, we've learned from the past, certainly, continue to, but the bottom line is this team has one mission in mind, and we're going to do it collectively.
Stewart, obviously a lot of discussion around the captain's picks this year. You have some experience and have had quite a bit of success as a captain's pick. Just wondering, is there any different pressure as a captain's pick, or is it just kind of the Ryder Cup is full of pressure no matter what?
It's full of pressure, but I felt like being a pick relieved the pressure, because out of a whole field of possible picks, you could say somewhere between probably 8 and 12 players, the captain and the assistants chose me to be on the team. They wanted me to be on the team. To me, that relieved the pressure. I've also been the last qualifier, the 10th qualifier in 2001 when 9/11 pushed it back to 2002. So I had a 1-year wait being the last guy on the team, and that sent the pressure to the moon. So I felt much more relieved as a captain's pick, and I probably played the best in the Ryder Cup when I was a pick. I was a 3-time pick. And so I just felt like my services were desired to be on the part of the team, and I felt empowered. And I haven't talked to the guys that got picked about that specifically. I might talk to them, but I would think they probably feel similarly, that it's more of a relief than like, oh, now you got to perform, you got picked. It's more like the exact opposite. That if you're one of those last qualifiers, man, if you're close to dropping out, that's where I felt pressure.
Zach, Stewart, great to see you guys. How do you plan to balance being in Napa, being such a destination, you're playing, competing on the field, and also as captain, co-captain? How are you guys going to balance this week? Being involved with JT, with Max, or are you guys going to just kind of like, how are you going to balance this week?
Well, I'll go first. I mean, again, it's nice being in an environment that feels very normal to what I'm work environment. I mean, I haven't competed since before the playoffs. I didn't make the playoffs. So it's just nice. I mean, it's nice packing and unpacking what I'm used to. Just the routine of it all just feels comfortable. Now I say that I did have 2 Zoom calls this morning that I didn't anticipate when I woke up, and that's fine. I mean, I know that I have essentially 2 different hats that I'm wearing, and once Thursday starts, I think it'll be just competition. At least that's my intent. That's my hope. All of the best players I've been around, obviously Stewart being one of my closest friends and great at it, we're all pretty good at compartmentalizing things. I think you have to be if you want to navigate this sport, this job. You have to be able to kind of put things in its place and devote the amount of time necessary to each one, given the proper parameters and timing. So, I rely on that. I have my own systems that I employ, and that's what I'm going to lean on. It's really nothing more than that.
As far as how to balance the schedule here, well, Napa's pretty known for wine, and I will be sampling some of the Napa varieties. so I can compare it to some of the Italian varieties when we get over there. So that's part of my my strategy this week, to keep my mind compartmentalized. But
I told him he had to play here for that reason alone.
It's just to kind of piggyback on what Zach said. It's really it's nice to be able to get inside the bubble. That's kind of what he was describing. That we're used to this. This is our weekly grind, and we love it. We wouldn't still be doing it. And so I am just a minuscule level compared to Zach with the Ryder Cup coming up, him being captain. But I can certainly feel my gears turning all the time. And when I get inside the ropes and get on the practice range with my coach like I was all morning, then I feel
Coach
my gears. No, Coach Siegman.
Oh, Coach Siegman. Yeah, good. Awesome.
Feel my gears turning in a different way, which is much more like an at-home kind of place. And I need that. It's a recharging of the batteries, and the Ryder Cup is sort of a new territory in this, role. So it's nice to be able to go back into the bubble for these 2 weeks and compete and play. And my wife's caddying, so we're having a nice time, and then we'll get into Ryder Cup when the time comes. But there'll be a lot of discussions. We'll probably, I think, meet on the phone via Zoom probably at least once or twice the next 8 or 10 days. Yeah.
Thank you.
You guys have been so used to playing this golf course, and now there's a reconfiguration, a rerouting, 10 holes that are going to be changed up. Is that a good thing? And how do you approach that, golf course now with 35, 37 configuration, 3-5 pars on the back nine? Does that, will that influence the scoring this year? You dominated Stewart a few years ago, just blew this field away, but do you expect to see even lower scoring, or how will the golf course present that type of a test with the course being rerouted?
The routing won't change the scoring at all. The only way they can change the scoring is if the conditions change, or if they change some of the holes, like build a new green or a new tee or something. But the routing won't change. There's one really good way to attack professional golf, and that is to just be in the present all the time, and that means play the course right in front of you. And the shot that's in front of you is the only one that matters, and it doesn't matter if that's a par 5 or a par 3 or whatever, or where it happens in the course of the tournament. You just don't change that strategy until you get down to about maybe, the 15th hole on Sunday, and then you might start thinking about taking more risk on or less risk. But it's not going to change anything. It's great, I think, for presenting the tournament on television and for some of the spectators that get to see here in person, that they'll see different holes. And this course has a lot to offer. There's some nice holes that don't get shown on TV because they're early. But that'll change this year, and it's just not something that will really have a huge effect on scoring. It might have some effect down the stretch, because you've got the I think it's 3 par 5s in the last 6 or something like that.
4, yeah. Or no, you're right.
3 in the last 6 holes. But we used to have 2 in the last 3. So it's not like we're not used to finishing on a rush of par 5s. Yeah. But I still got to figure out where the holes are. I mean, I know all 18 holes here, but now I don't know which order they're going in. Where do I walk after number 7? I don't know.
I don't know what's
so I have to probably look at the ropes and the signs and figure all that out. I haven't played the course yet since I've been here.
All good? Well, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Busy, so we appreciate
Thank you.
taking the time.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.